Hello Libra, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the questions, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Libra, let's jump on in. We're going to start with looking at your recent past, current energy, and immediate future through Oracle cards first, and then we'll dive into the reading with tarot as we progress. So let's start looking at this recent past energy. What have you guys been dealing with? Expect powerful change. Hold your vision. And then a fiery climax approaches. You've been working really hard toward something, I don't know if it's creating something, if it's building something, if it's healing from something. And I feel like you've been in this energy of not necessarily seeing the progress that you're wanting to see, almost maybe even feeling like you're taking steps backward. And I think that it's kind of put you in this energy of maybe second guessing your path, second guessing what's possible for you, which is very natural and very normal. But I do feel as if the changes that you're desiring are happening, not in the way that you expect though. And I think that that's where a lot of the feeling of maybe feeling a little bit hopeless or feeling a little bit behind or stuck is really coming from, is you're looking at, certain expectations and you're saying, oh, since it's not happening this way or that way, it must not be happening at all. It is, just like I said, not necessarily in the way that you expect. So let's see what your current energy has to say. So if you're not seeing progress, it's because you've defined progress as a very specific outcome, or you're saying like it needs to look like this or it needs to happen like this. And because things aren't looking like or happening like you've had in mind, and this is natural, but you're jumping to the conclusion of, oh, it's not happening at all, or it's never going to happen. I'm never going to get there, things of that nature. Okay, current energy here for Libra. Maybe. It's time to release negativity and emotions are running high. So there's a lot of stress in your current energy. A lot of stress, maybe even a lot of disappointment. Like I said, kind of in that second guessing your path, second guessing, what's possible for you. And I feel like that this period that you're in is kind of the point in a way. We tend to face resistance before we reach new beginnings. And that resistance isn't meant to hold us back. It's the opportunity for us to face our fear, our doubt, our insecurity in real time. And what happens is our ego attaches to certain outcomes, to certain expectations. And when those don't happen, because very, very rarely do things actually happen as planned, when we lose control, when we're in the unknown, when we're not sure how things are going to play out, we experience that fear, that anxiety, that stress about, well, if it didn't happen like this, enter worst case scenario, since that relationship didn't work out, I'm going to be alone forever. Since this, path didn't work out, I'm not going to have what it is that I need. And when that happens, we typically are, being given this choice, in a sense, where we can allow that fear to dictate actions, or we can choose to move forward trusting that every single redirection is purposeful, and that every redirection is guiding us closer to the things that we deserve and desire. Because that's what this does feel like. It feels like maybe reaching some sort of a dead end, or reaching some sort of, experiencing some sort of feeling of failure. Not that you are a failure, that you have failed, but feeling as if that is the case. Not, and this isn't, and I think it's almost like you're misreading what's happening, because you're looking at this as it's not happening at all, when Spirit is really saying, no, it is, just not like you expected. So I think that this redirection, I think Libra's been going through a redirection for a while, but there's been this resistance to it, because I feel like there's almost like this, this attachment to a certain outcome that has kept you, trying to make things happen a certain way. And since that wasn't the way that things were supposed to go, not experiencing the very thing you're trying to receive. So, trying to find the love that you deserve in a person who isn't capable of loving you well, or trying to find abundance or freedom in a path that has actually kept you very trapped, or has kept you small, things of that nature. So allowing yourself to surrender a little bit, and allow things to shift, allow things to change. Just because it looks different than you expected doesn't mean it's going to be any less good, or any less fulfilling or exciting. All right, what do you need to know moving forward? And I think that's typically what we tend to latch onto, is if it doesn't look like this, it's never going to be as good, right? But no, that's not the case at all. One of my favorite mantras that has always been true is it's this, or it's something better. It either looks like we expect or like we want it to, or it ends up being better than we even thought it could get. It's time to take action. You've been on this cycle, repeating the same pattern for a while, and this is definitely about taking action in a different direction. One that is very unfamiliar, one that is unexpected as well, or like, I don't know if unexpected is the right word, or one that like is very different for your path and your journey. You have belief in the impossible. Balance spirituality and practicality with confidence is your key to success. When I talk about confidence, it's not about confidence in anything outside of you. It's confidence in your ability to create the life that you deserve. But your ability to create the life that you deserve is directly dependent on your willingness to surrender to what isn't working. And I think that sometimes we're afraid to do that, because we think, oh, I've wasted all this time, or, again, if it doesn't work out like this, it's never going to be as good. But Spirit's saying it's actually the opposite. The very thing you're trying to draw in, the love that you deserve, the success that you desire, the fulfillment, whatever it is, it exists on this path that I feel like either you've been hesitant to go down, or you've been, kind of blind, like you've kind of been blind to, because you've been so focused on something else, or like on another path, that it continues to not give you what it is that you deserve and desire. So I don't necessarily know what this is about, but I do know that this is about allowing the universe to take you to the very things you're trying to create, even if they look different than the expectations that you've held on to for so long. Overall theme of this reading. And with this believe in the impossible card, it's almost as if Spirit is saying this new direction is going to take you to places that you don't deem possible right now. The love that you deserve and desire, success, like freedom, whatever it looks like. Overall theme of this reading for Libra. You have guides here. You're being heavily guided toward this redirection, but there's almost this avoidance of that guidance. Ego's playing a pretty powerful role right now in trying to keep you in the same cycles, same experiences, same feelings, same, relationships, same behaviors, same, all the same. Ego's playing a pretty heavy role in trying to keep you in what is familiar. And that's the thing, we as human beings actually tend to prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. We tend to choose what we're used to, what we can predict, even if it's unfulfilling, even if we find ourselves not experiencing what it is that we deserve and desire in that space. And I feel like with this transmute card, it's allowing yourself to take all that you've learned from this cycle and start to apply it to your life. Start to allow yourself to move forward toward new experiences. But that change is going to require you to get really honest with yourself about what isn't working. And I think that so much of the time we're afraid to do that because we hate the idea of not knowing how it's going to work out. Sometimes it's easier to sit in the illusion of, hoping that things work out a certain way, even though we're experiencing that not happening, than to realize what needs to shift and what needs to change. So I feel like this is about opening up to shift, opening up to a change, and allowing yourself to recognize what needs to change here too. An honest reading. All right, recent past here for Libra. Hold your vision, expect powerful change. So what has Libra been dealing with? The Five of Wands. You've been fighting really hard, fighting to make something work, fighting to make something happen. You've been putting so much into it, so much time, energy, effort, maybe even resources. King of Swords in reverse. And I think what's happening here is you're starting to believe, if we pour everything we have into the wrong path, into the wrong people, into unaligned situations, it's, we're never going to get the things that we deserve and desire because that isn't the Nine of Cups. That isn't the right path for us. But what's going to happen is we're going to pour everything we have into it. It's going to feel like it isn't enough. And then we're going to go, oh, I'm not enough. What I have to give isn't good enough. My value doesn't align with what I deserve. I can't, I'm not lovable enough or worthy enough or deserving enough or whatever. And we start to believe the opposite. We start to think, oh, I'm not good enough for this thing, when in reality, we might be pouring our heart, mind, body, spirit, soul into things that aren't meant for us in the first place. And I think that everything is meant for us, for our journey. So I don't want to say like, oh, you've been on the wrong path and you've wasted all this time, because that's not what this is about. This is about recognizing what does need to shift and what does need to change here, because I do feel that the fight to make something work is keeping you in lack. And it doesn't mean that, it's not, the love that you desire isn't possible, or the success that you desire isn't possible, because it is. But the shift in where you're investing your energy is like really important right now, because when we get clear on what it is that we desire, what happens is oftentimes we attach those feelings that we want to have to an outcome, right? Like feeling like we're in a relationship with the perfect person for us, and we attach it to a specific person. We say, that's the only way I can make it happen. Or, in order for me to be abundant and successful, this is the only way that I can make that happen. And so we force and we push and we control and we chase. And when it doesn't happen, or when we get to a point where we're so drained that we can't keep showing up, we're going to doubt ourselves. We're going to doubt the possibility for us. And when that starts to happen, that's usually not when Spirit's saying, look, you can't have the things that you desire. It's Spirit's way of saying you're just going about it the wrong way. It's almost like if you try to push and control, it's like fitting what do they say, like a square peg into a round hole. Like, you can sit there and you can try your hardest to get it in that hole, but if it's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen for you. The best thing we can learn to do is see rejection as redirection, is see closed doors as the opportunity for new ones to open. It's the best thing we can do for ourselves, and it's also the quickest way we're going to get to what it is that we desire. But we're so human, right? So it's hard to surrender to that change. Spirit is really not messing around with this reading, because it feels like Spirit is saying, look, you can have these things. You can have what you desire. But you got to let go of the expectations of how you think they need to happen. Current energy for you here, Libra. Three of Wands, Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like your energy is very scattered right now. And very, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, Three of Wands, and Four of Pentacles in reverse. So very unstable. Not that you are unstable, okay? But your energy is very, it's not grounded. And I think that has you jumping to a lot of conclusions about your life and what it is that you are capable of having, worthy of having, deserving of having, meant to have and to experience. And that's, again, natural and normal. When we are outside of the realm of our comfort zone, when we are coming to terms with what isn't working and closing the door on what isn't meant for us, that is where we face all the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, the stress that comes with not knowing, with not having the control. And all of that you're feeling and that you're experiencing when you're outside of your comfort zone, that right there is what kept you stuck in the cycle in the first place. So it's not that you're headed in the wrong direction. It's not that things aren't working out. It's that you are in the experience of facing the very things that kept you in what didn't serve you. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. They're like, well, I walked away from that toxic relationship, but then nothing better came along. I'm not experiencing anything better. I'm feeling so alone. I'm wondering if I made the right choice by, walking away from these things. When you're in that, what I call the in-between phase, where you're closing the door on what isn't meant for you, but you're not really quite sure what's coming, how you handle that space determines what you create. Because most people in that space tend to go back. They go back to what doesn't serve them, because a lot of times we go, well, I'd rather have this than nothing. I'd rather have, less than what I deserve than nothing at all. But that right there is the belief that you're only worthy, deserving of less than what you deserve. That right there is your outdated belief system trying to control your experience and move you into the familiar hell. So when you're in this space, when you're in, what you're being asked to do is to believe that what you desire is possible for you before it even exists. That is the key to manifesting. The key to manifesting is believing that what you desire already exists before it comes into fruition. And being able to detach from the details, what it looks like, how it's going to happen, who it's going to be with. That right there is your magic. That is your power. And I feel like right now, you're mistaking your lack of control, which again, very human thing, but you're mistaking your lack of control as a belief that it isn't happening for you. And that's where things get a little tricky, because that's where the ego is very present, because the ego is saying, oh, it's not happening like I expect or like I think it should, therefore it's not happening at all. And that's where we learn to surrender to the belief that we're being supported and guided by spiritual connection of our own understanding, even if things aren't working out like we expect in the moment. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like it's an important reading or an important message for somebody. All right, what does Libra need to know moving forward? Believe in the impossible. It's time to take action. This is allowing yourself to move differently. Allowing yourself to make different decisions, to take different steps. It's almost like this. If we find ourselves not having the things that we deserve and desire, but we keep doing the same things, we keep choosing the same people, we keep entering the same cycles, we keep, making the same decisions, we're going to get the same outcomes. That's how it works. If we do what we've always done, we'll get what we've always gotten. If we want things to change, we have to move differently. We have to choose differently. We have to set those boundaries. We have to, close the door on those cycles. We have to, make a pact with ourselves that we're not going to re-enter those cycles. All of these things is what moves you into new territory, new energy, new vibrations, because that's where you start to tell the universe, look, I don't deserve this. I deserve more. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to show myself that I deserve more. And the universe starts to move mountains to make things happen for you when you start to show up for the things that you deserve. What does Libra need to know moving forward? Oh my gosh. Temperance with the sun too. Two of Pentacles. And then the Emperor. This is absolutely 100% taking back control of your life, taking control of your life, stepping into your power. Your power isn't in controlling what's going on around you. Your power is in controlling, you, how you respond, how you show up, the beliefs that you carry, the thoughts that you repeat and latch onto, the steps that you take. And, this future energy is all about rebalancing priorities and making sure you're not prioritizing the things that constantly lead you to the lack. It's prioritizing the things that serve you, prioritizing. And this is the thing, this is the hard part, right? Because you almost feel delusional when you're in this in-between space, because you're going, I'm believing in something that, that doesn't exist yet. It does exist. That's the thing. The things that you deserve and desire, the love that you deserve and desire, the success, the abundance, the fulfillment, it already exists. It is already happening in a different, realm, if you will. Your job isn't to force it. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job isn't to, figure out what you need to do to make sure that you're, making every single correct decision. Your job is just to show up for that life and to be so relentless in your willingness to not settle, to not accept anything less, to not go back to old patterns, to not go back to old relationships, to not go back to things that have shown you that they don't hold what it is that you deserve and desire. That's where we manifest new opportunities. That's where we create them. Is we believe the things that we start to think are impossible, the love that we desire, all these things, we never stop believing that they're possible. Because when we never stop believing the things that we deserve and desire are possible, we're never willing to settle. And that's where we master the art of patience. Where we say, I'm not going to rush into anything and I'm not going to try to make anything happen, because if I try to make something happen, right then in that moment, I'm out of alignment because I'm no longer allowing, I'm forcing and I'm controlling. That's not your power, that's your control. And when our control will always block the very abundance we're trying to draw in. So this future energy is changing the way that you're moving, changing the way that you're showing up, changing the energy that you're carrying. Because the energy of confidence is saying, I am so certain that I'm being led to the things that I deserve and desire, that I just show up as if it's already happening for me, as if it's already heading my way. And it might not look like I expect, but that's okay, because I know that how it looks is going to be exactly how it's meant to be, and I'm going to be just as happy either way. That right there, when you can master that, you start to create literal miracles in your life. And it's not easy, but it is possible, and it's also necessary to create change. Change doesn't just happen. It's something that is consciously and intentionally created. It's something that requires our full willingness to embody. If we want change, we have to change. We spend so much of our time waiting for the outside world to change, but waiting for the outside world to change is not the point. It's figuring out if I want change and my outer world is a reflection of my inner world, how do I need to change? How do I need to show up differently? What habits and patterns am I repeating that keep me stuck in the same experiences? And I know not everybody wants to hear this message, but I do think that this is necessary for somebody. And please know, everything I talk about, I'm coming from a place of experience. I've been stuck in cycles too, so there's absolutely no judgment in any. I find myself still stuck in cycles. It happens. It's part of the process. But if we want to create new cycles of abundance instead of struggles, cycles of love instead of, unhealthy relationships or a lack of love, we have to move different. We have to show up in the energy and embody what it is that we want to create. It is our job to show the universe what it is that we deserve, because the universe is not biased. It is literally going to reflect back at you how you show up. So if you show up accepting less, the universe is going to provide you less. If you show up being so unwilling to accept anything less than what you deserve, the universe is going to show up for that. All right, I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to dive deeper into these messages, ultimately answering the question, what do you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? So diving deeper, bringing forth more of that tangible advice, and then I've got an advice card to pull for you at the very end. Any information on that extended is in the description box or caption below. Thank you so much, Libra, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Libra.